almost, but it's a comic technique to be able to switch characters. You think about comedians who can do one voice and then another voice. So I think I would focus on that more than I would on disappearing into roles. I mean, you can say to play many roles, but
what about the subsuming part? Is that all right?
Yeah, you can leave that in. But it's more about flexibility and adaptability and yeah, that's good.
I didn't know the actual exact quote and I couldn't find it, so I sort of just.
I was in one of the things I sent for you, but I don't know. Doesn't matter. That's near enough. But you should. Can you say what item it is?
No, because I couldn't find it online. But if you sent it to me, then I'll double check.
I'm sure it's in the links that I sent to you.
Okay then.
You've got to get your people spelt right.
How do you spell Kubrick again?
Kubrick. That says Kubrick.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't on purpose.
Strangelove. Is it like that? I think it's more like that. Shows the actor. It's actually called Peter Paul. Yeah, good. This is good. And I think I think there's two things that you haven't.
That's the conclusion.
Are you going to say here that Sellers said how much he owed and how he kind of revered Alec Guinness as an actor? Do you remember
I was going to put that all in the conclusion.
Fine. Okay, that's all right.
I'm just sorry. Only if you think that's best.
No, it doesn't have to go there. That's fine. Then the other thing I would say here.
I was going to say in conclusion, you can see a link through all three actors, blah blah blah, and then go into it.
Yeah,
you know
good.
I mean?
Yeah. And okay, so what I would add in the end here is something along the lines of Kubrick originally intended to make Dr. Strangelove as an adaptation from a novel called Failsafe. Is that what it was called?
Well, at the end of the primary research?
No, at the end of this paragraph.
That's the primary research. That's the conclusion.
Oh, hang on. So what? But you're on 1270 words. Where are you going to go from here then?
That's what I don't know. Because obviously I need to write more about Goldmember and Alec Guinness. Kind Hearts and Coronets need a lot.
But this is your script. This is fine. You're taking us through the three films. You're telling us.
This is so brief.
Well, you've only got about 500 words left to do.
Oh, I thought you were saying I won't make 500 words.
No, you'll be fine.
Really? I didn't know what else to say. Apart from, because obviously I need to write the conclusion, but I didn't think that would take off 500 words.
No, well, I'm going to give you a bit more. So, what at the end of here, I think you should add something in about how Kubrick originally wanted to make a serious film about the nuclear threat. I think you just do a bit of research on that. I think it was called Failsafe originally. But as the film came about, as he developed the project, he realized that a dark comedy would be more effective. And then you could say something along the lines of, and Peter Sellers' input here in some ways does the same job for Kubrick as Alec Guinness's does for McKendrick in Kind Hearts and Coronets, because they both. Isn't he the director of Kind Hearts and Coronets?
Is he?
I think so. Don't say that.
I haven't said it in there.
Doesn't matter. I think that's who it is.
Oh, okay then.
he's doing a similar job because you've got serial killers and nuclear holocaust, and then you've got two comedians playing multiple roles to kind of
So there's
lighten
dark
it
humour
up.
in both.
Yeah, can you see?
But with the light-heartedness.
Yeah.
to it,
So what Sellers is doing, in the same way as Guinness does in the previous film, is to say, okay, this is a panto. We're not taking this so seriously because we've got, and it's more like what you've got back here. This idea it's all topsy turvy and the aggressive blurring of fiction and reality. It's like, is this real? Well, it doesn't really matter if it is or not. We'll take this really serious subject, and one of the ways we're going to play around with it is by having characters play lots of roles. So I would make the link there at the end of this paragraph, say, was going to be a serious film. Kubrick in development decided it was going to be a comedy. Sellers's performances are a really important part of that. He does the same job for Kubrick as Guinness does for McKendrick. Yeah? Okay, now, so here, this is what you're going to fill out, I think. Yeah. So actually, I would say something along the lines of moving into the modern era, comic actors began to play multiple roles as a central aspect or as a key feature of the comedy of the films. It's in a slightly different way because Coming to America doesn't really deal with immigration, does it? So an example of this would be Eddie Murphy in Coming to America, where much of the comedy, which is not in any way a dark comedy, and much of the comedy comes from...
Why does it have to address immigration?
That's what it's about, someone coming to America.
Oh, okay then.
But I'm saying it's not like they're not looking at a serious subject and making jokes about it. And much of the comedy of Coming to America depends on Eddie Murphy's skill as a comic, as someone who can do different accents, the prosthetic makeup, those kinds of things, okay? And then I think this is the point where you might say Mike Myers had found success in films such as Wayne's World, but he has said in interviews that he was strongly influenced by, I don't know if you say it now.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe save it till the end. It's a good conclusion, that's the thing.
Because that's one of my items, the interview where he actually says...
Yeah, okay, save that till the end then. And just say, okay, so what you need is analysis of the film, as you have done in the other ones. And here you need to say something along the lines of, this was the third in the Austin Powers franchise. Is it the third one? Second one. And Myers plays three different characters, not only the protagonist, but the antagonist, blah, 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 and the antagonist henchman, fat bastard, or whatever he's called.
And he plays Goldman, the Dutch guy.
Oh, as well?
Yeah.
So he's Dr. Evil, Goldmember, and... Is Dr. Evil in there? Yeah.
Austin Powers, Dr. Evil, fat bastard.
Fine. Then you need to lay that out. You need to say, okay, so these are all the character he plays. You could say a little bit about...
After this bit?
Yeah. Okay. You could say a little bit about the plot. And you could say where the comedy comes from. So, for example, there is much more interaction between the different characters played by the same person in here because technology has moved on and made that easier.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, personally, I don't think that makes it funnier, but it's a sign of the way that comedy has developed. Comic films, or this genre of comic films has developed, that to some extent, you're showing off the technology that you can use to